Hello, welcome back to Tai Chi Exercises with Rosalind. Today we're going to continue with the theme of turning from the center, and we're going to look at the exercise that we've just done, turning the millstone. And we're going to look at common faults or problems people may have with the exercise. It's quite a big subject, so I'm going to break it into part one, which is what we're going to do now, is going to look at the top half of the body, and part two will concentrate on the bottom half of the body. And just to make it a bit of fun today, I've got a challenge for you. You may notice I like to use props when I'm talking in these videos, and I've got lots of props today. So if you want to make a note of the props as they come along as I'm presenting this talk, then check below the video and see if you've managed to get the right number of props or if you've missed any. Going back to a more serious subject, how do we know we're doing an exercise correctly in Tai Chi, like turning the millstone? We all think we're doing everything fine, but if somebody else could look at us, they will tell us, maybe you could be doing that a little bit better. But we don't talk in Tai Chi of doing things right or wrong. We talk about refining. So really this particular video should be called Refining the Movements of Turning the Millstone. Well, if you want to improve and refine your movement, you may be lucky enough to have a teacher, and they can point out misalignments if you're not holding your head up, or if you're twisting, or you've more weight on one side. They might even let you feel into their body, so you can feel what the movement, the refined movement, what you're looking for, and that can be very, very helpful. Then there's things like mirrors. I've got one here. You can look while you're doing the exercise into a mirror. We don't encourage people to rely on that. It's good every now and then to check, but in Tai Chi it's so important to develop an awareness of the body when it's moving and feel the sensations of the moving body. I think that'll be another video that I'll be presenting for you. So we don't want to rely on external devices, but they are very useful when you're learning. Some people like to take a picture of themselves. I've got my phone here, or a video, and that can be very helpful as well to find out if you're moving and nicely aligned. And I'm going to talk about a lot today about visualizations and motor imagery. And when you're a beginner, that's really, really helpful. That's a very good stage to start at. The progression would be to listen as you get more advanced, to listen to the feelings in your body as you're doing the movements. And that creates a very mindful state. And that's what we're trying to achieve in Tai Chi. So I'll start by putting the dot on my center, and so we can look at if we're moving the center correctly. And I was going to use a red dot today, if I can get it off because I've got a yellow top on. So remember, we're moving in this exercise from the center of gravity, a point in Tai Chi we call the dantian, and it's about 1.5 inches below the belly button and 1.5 inches inside. So it's a hypothetical point, but I'll put it there. So starting from the top, we have how do we keep the head up? Well, you probably remember I talk a lot about having the crown suspended as by a thread, the point being from the tip of the ears to the top of the head where the crown of the hair grows out from. And some people in Tai Chi, if you like visualizations, talk about the crown being suspended by a golden thread. And I've got some other visualizations as well. So when we're turning, we want to keep the head up, and it's very common for people just to drop their heads down. And some people say, well, don't look on the floor. There's no pounds or pennies on the floor. But that's fine, but it's kind of a negative one. A more positive one I use is the idea of having a head torch. Well, I talk about, imagine you've got a miner's helmet on, and that you're shining a light across the room as you move. And that can be helpful. So I'll put that down. And then we've got the idea, if I can find it in my pocket, there we are, of a pencil. I don't like this one much. It seems a bit painful to me. But you imagine you've got a pencil in your eyes and you draw a line across the room as you're turning. And the final one, I think this one's nicer, is imagine that you're looking at the horizon as you're turning with the eyes. And I think that's a much nicer one. So that's some things to do with head alignment. We're moving on. We want the head to move. If I'm standing in front of people and they want first learning the exercise, often they're not moving their head because I'm in front of them. And we want the head to move in line with the body, at right angles to the body. If we move the head separately to the body, we'll get dizzy. So the head has to stay in alignment at 90 degrees to the shoulders and the rest of the body. So in my halls, like when I'm teaching in the Parkinson's, I'll say, well, the stage is on that side of the hall and there's a clock on the other. And I'll remind people, when you're turning, can you see the clock? Can you see the stage? Don't just look at me, to encourage them to turn their bodies further. Because in Parkinson's, people get very, very stiff and they find rotation difficult. So moving on, how do we get the chest moving? Again, the same thing with the head. I had another, this is kind of a bizarre one, I think, but you can actually pretend that you've got eyes. Talk about, imagine there are eyes. If you've got people moving their heads, you want them moving their chest. So imagine you've got eyes in your chest and you're looking at the side of the room. That's another one I have. As you can see, I have very many of these visualizations. And then we want to move the center as well. Again, you could have the idea of holding a torch and shining a light from the belly button. Some of these are a bit bizarre. Shining that across the room to get people to move. We'll come back to the shoulders as well and the arms. So when we're moving from the center, truly moving from the center, the arms should be relaxed and wrap around the body. I'll just put the monkey down. So they should wrap around the body, and you can hear the sound of my relaxed arms. And when people first start, and they're really trying hard, and especially if they've got a problem like Parkinson's, or they might be frightened of moving, they may start moving their upper chest. And you can see my center isn't moving much. If you compare it to when I'm relaxed and I'm moving my center, the center moves first, then the chest, then the shoulders and head together, and you get relaxed. If I'm stiff, you can't hear anything, can you? So that was where I was going to use the monkey drum. And I've demonstrated that earlier as well, that when we're moving, we want the arms, the little hands as the bead here, to be really relaxed and turning from the center. You can see that we then move the arms and they're very relaxed. So that's another thing to look out for. That's a listening one, isn't it? Can you hear the sound? And a feeling as well. You know, you can tell if you're stiff. We're looking for that all the time, being really loose and relaxed in Tai Chi. And finally, we've got the alignment, which I've mentioned before. This idea of having a crystal bowl in the one in and holding that level in the pelvis, in the chest, and in the head, so that when we're turning, I don't know how to use a crystal bowl in my classes, that would be a bit disastrous. So I have this little model so that when we're turning, we're keeping everything level and in the head as well. I think that's pretty well everything from the top half. I'm sure there's more that we can think about, but those are some very basics. So all that will add up if you try some of those ideas to really making sure that you're doing the exercise in a nice, refined way. It's something to work on in Tai Chi. That's how we progress. We go deeper. We don't have to do more exercises. We just have a few exercises that we try and do as well as we can, and we keep working and working to get them, improve the quality of movement, improve the alignment. Lovely. I'm going to finish there. Thank you for watching. And please do look at part 2, where I'm going to look at the lower half of the body.